SDTV, media itself is a buzzword, and the narrative is everything. We have seen in the US election how the narrative has won. Yael Noah Harari says that it's the fiction that takes you forward, it's not the fact. And he quotes an example of Palestine. He says there is enough place, enough hospital, enough water. Then why are they fighting? Both parties are fighting, he says, for their story to triumph. And which is for each of them, the other story is a fiction. And he has written a lot on that as well. So narrative is like a religion nowadays. People get together with a religious, zeal and everything. We have today with us a very prominent and eminent journalist, Zebunisa Barki. Ma'am Barki, just tell us how to keep the media from drifting away from the main road and onto the trail or something.
Uh, well, first of all, I would like to disagree with Harari, Yuval.
Ah,
Yeah,
yeah.
I think he got it wrong on Palestine completely. Yeah, so just putting that out there, right? I think there are sometimes compelling narratives which don't win the day, right? Because उनके side पे power नहीं होती, right? Um, I think the media drifting away. I'm not really that pessimistic about the media drifting away. I do believe that despite everything else, the fact that more young people are trying to also produce things themselves means that they are at least aware of the issues that they're talking about. They might not be completely aware, right? But they're at least interested. There was a lull in the middle where young people weren't even interested in the news. That has changed since that time, like a few years back. So I feel that it's not all doom and gloom completely. It's just that the challenges are different and the tools have changed. So I think the question right now is how to utilize whatever tools we have as being as part of the media, uh, sort of to make your case a little more compelling.
What is the compulsion of presenting truth, nothing but truth?
I know this is a philosophical question. I think
In a very
journalism, yeah,
contemporary
okay.
circumstance.
I think journalism is about telling a story, okay? Telling a story that is true. Something happened, you report on it. That's, in very simple terms, is journalism, right? That you should be able to tell that as a truth should be the first step to good journalism. But otherwise, there's always great fiction out there.
Yeah.
People are writing wonderful novels. Just go out and watch entertainment channels. They're much nicer. I would watch them more than I would watch a news channel in any case. So yeah, as far as journalism is concerned, I find it very odd that the truth and journalism go हाथ साथ साथ में, right?
Hand in hand.
Hand hand. Also, there are people who talk about post-truth world and there is no truth and truth is subjective. I actually don't agree with that. I think if something happens somewhere and you report on it as truthfully as you possibly can, you've done your job as a journalist. It's okay. I mean, as much as you possibly can, human levels, but
Where you used word in your early conversation, the word dinosaurs. We all, are the mezzanine generation of this country. That all comes from the print backdrop. I worked initially for 7, 8 years for print before switching to that satellite and then to digital thing. And I think writing is the basis for everything. And the word has its sanctity. Lafz ki hurmat. How do you see that the media is going to graduate and still that norm and hurmat can be kept?
I think even if you're telling a story through pictures, I think the basic training that print had, which was fact checking, verification, sticking to certain, the five W's,
And
all
one
of
answer.
that, I think those are the things that we can take forward. Doesn't have to be written, it can be spoken, it can be visual, it can be, radio. I mean, it can be audio, it can be anything as long as the basics of journalism are adhered to. Um, I think nostalgia is always a good thing, but I think the evolution of journalism, not media, I would, I differentiate between
Differ.
the two. I think the evolution of journalism is essential. बट कहीं ना कहीं रिटर्न वर्ड तो आ ही जाता है, चाहे डिजिटल पर हो या स्क्रीन पे आपको नज़र आ रहा हो, आप लिख कर उसको पढ़ लें, it's the same thing really. So I think the sanctity of journalism is in the basic principles of it, that can't possibly change just because the medium has changed, right?
Last question. Yesterday I interviewed someone and we were talking about the economic Nobel Prize. That was awarded after 15 or 12, 15 years that book was written. And after that, I asked a couple of people, have you read it? Senior economist and none of them. And then it has the, sister fiction, which is fact, which is prose something. Other books like written by Henry Kissinger, demigods of the world, Huntington, Samuel Huntington, and McNamara, you name them, Paul Kennedy. None of the book was, and that is the whole team of brain waves and thoughts by the way of the research and putting into it, that is shaping the world. Because if the Nobel Prize is being, he said two things: the decay of institutions, they're not, as far as the society is concerned, not of the institution, its infrastructure, but the society. And second is the elite capture. That is going to reflect in the political discourse over time. Like corruption was a discourse and all, but the society is generally not aware. Last one thing, why I'm asking, I came from a school, and before I did my metric, they would suggest in the library period certain writers, and you should read that. And I read couple of writers because of the guidance. None of them had been awarded some prize and that, but whole of our class would read that just as a run of the mill stuff. And they were not Nobel Prize winner at that time. That was Gabriel Garcia Marcos, Toni Morrison of Beloved, Octavio Paz, Nobel Prize winner later. So, I mean, it's a dilemma. At least journalists should be well versed. There should be some effort in the newsroom to train the journalists, not on the technique, but on the subject matter on that.
I mean, I think over a certain period of time, good journalism sifts out the bad journalists in any case. I mean, we're not talking about who makes more money, but who is respected more as a journalist. If you see people who are respected more as journalists, not people who are making money more as
Yeah, yeah,
journalists, वो होंगे अच्छे पढ़े लिखे वाले. I'm not that convinced of, I mean, I like to read, but I don't ask people to read only. Because I think
not
that
read
age,
only, read
yeah,
also.
yeah, read also, but I think, yeah, I think a lot of people are now consuming things online that they think is worth reading. I mean, I don't read that stuff myself. But I think, yes, sure,
Stuck to print one.
reading has generally gone down. In any case, I think overall, and that is sad, but I think it's a generational problem as well, probably. There's just so much information out there, and everyone has become used to bite size words,
Yeah.
right? So, text generally now it affects our young people. I'm more interested in the fact that my students don't read papers. Book to chhod dein, doesn't matter book padhein, but just basic papers or essays or even a long form feature that I would give, right? So I think that the patience required to read, I think that is has gone
Yeah.
because they want to swipe. They say Insta Reels per we keep swiping, right? So even I don't linger on more than like 30 seconds on an Insta Reel. I just quickly swipe. I think they're just used to that.
Raman sir, thank you very
Thank you.
much
No,
for
thank you
sparing
so
your
much.
precious time.
Thank you.
And I think looking forward for more
Same here.
interaction. With this, we come to the end of the program. Bye for now.